My name is Michael Edward Walker, and I am a 42-year-old elementary school teacher living in Burlington, Vermont. What I am about to share is the testimony of my near-death experience. The moment Jesus showed me the shocking truth about prayer. I literally saw how a single prayer can destroy demonic strongholds and why the enemy works tirelessly to keep us from praying. It all began on June 10, 2024, when I was pronounced clinically dead for 31 minutes and 17 seconds at Green Mountain Medical Center. It was a cold winter day in Vermont, with the temperature well below freezing and a fresh layer of snow covering the ground. After my morning class with my third graders, I headed to the teacher's lounge for lunch. I felt slightly dizzy, but I thought it was just the after effects of skipping breakfast. As I walked down the hallway, the fluorescent lights began to flicker eerily, and an intense pressure settled over my chest. What I didn't know was that I was suffering from a massive pulmonary embolism. A blood clot had traveled to my lungs. I later learned that I had collapsed outside of room 204. My face turned blue as my body fought for oxygen. My colleague, Mrs. Anderson, found me and called 911 while she tried to revive me with CPR. The last thing I remembered before everything changed was the coolness of the floor against my face and the distant sound of children's voices in the cafeteria. Then, in an instant, all earthly sensations disappeared. Reality. It wasn't a tunnel of light as many people describe. Instead, it felt like I had stepped through a veil into a dimension beyond our comprehension. The pain disappeared. In its place, an indescribable peace took over me. The environment around me pulsed with life and energy, but in a way that my human mind could never fully capture. It was like being immersed in pure love. Then I heard his voice. It was a sound that carried all the authority of the universe and, at the same time, the tender comfort of a loving father. Michael. He said my name. And in that instant, I understood more about the nature of Christ than all my decades of Bible study had taught me. His presence was overwhelming and, at the same time, deeply intimate. He did not resemble the traditional images we see of him. His glory was something impossible to be captured by any human painting. His appearance was both physical and spiritual, a being of light that did not hurt my eyes but penetrated every part of my being. My son, he continued, I have brought you here to show you what your earthly eyes could never see. What you will witness today will change not only your life, but the lives of many who will hear your testimony. Suddenly, I began to see my own life flashing before me, but from a completely different angle. I saw moments when I prayed, from the innocent prayers of childhood to the desperate cries of recent years, especially regarding my marriage. Then something extraordinary happened. I saw what happened when I spoke the name of Jesus in prayer. It was like a spiritual earthquake. Demonic strongholds began to crack and crumble. Each word of prayer caused fissures in the enemy's walls. I was astonished to realize that even my simplest prayers that I sometimes doubted would be heard, were destroying the strategies of the evil one. Jesus showed me how demons worked tirelessly to keep me from praying. They would increase my fatigue at the end of the day, fill my mind with trivial concerns, and even use my cell phone to distract me at the very moment I planned to talk to God. But then he showed me something even more shocking. There were times when I ignored the call to prayer. Instead of condemnation, I saw Christ waiting patiently, like a teacher who knows that sooner or later the student will understand the lesson. He never gave up. Michael, he said, prayer is not just words thrown into the wind. Watch what happens when you pray. The scene changed again. I saw how the demons held emergency meetings, trying to devise new ways to stop me from praying. They feared my prayer more than anything else I could do. Now do you understand? Jesus asked. Why does the enemy fight so hard to stop my children from praying? Because a single prayer offered in faith does more damage to the kingdom of darkness than 1,000 other spiritual activities. I also saw how my mother's prayers, prayed years ago, were still in action. Prayer was not limited by time. Each sincere cry echoed into eternity, affecting generations. Finally, Jesus showed me what happened when prayer disappeared. Communities, schools, and churches that diminished their prayer life became vulnerable to the advance of evil. Do you see now? He asked. Prayer is not a duty. It is a weapon, and the enemy knows this better than many of my children. With those words, I began to feel my spirit being pulled back. The heavenly surroundings disappeared, and suddenly I woke up in the hospital. Bright lights, doctors rushing, agitated voices. I was later told that I had been clinically dead for 33 minutes and 27 seconds. My tests showed no brain or lung damage. The doctors called it a miracle. But I knew exactly what had happened. Now, everything is different. My classroom has become a spiritual battlefield, and every prayer I say is a weapon against the enemy. My marriage has been restored. My children have begun to develop their own prayer lives. I share this testimony for one reason, so that you may know the truth. Every prayer you make matters. Every word spoken in faith destroys the works of the enemy. And now that you know, the choice is yours. Will you pray?
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Together, we can spread hope and restore lives through the Word. Share this knowledge with someone. God bless you.